from the IITA, and we'll be having a quick little chat just about research and the IITA's presence here at Tropentag. So, Laurence, could you tell us maybe a brief overview of what your research is at the IITA?
So my personal research is on the impact of climate change on perennial systems, mostly coffee and cocoa-based systems. Mm-hmm. And so we're very much looking at opportunities like constraints and opportunities for climate change adaptation and mitigation in those systems. As you know, in West Africa you have a lot of cocoa systems in the humid tropics, and in East Africa, in the highlands, you have coffee. And so there are two major cash crops. And so what we're doing is in systems research, we're using systems research to actually identify opportunities for those smallholder farmers.
The theme of this year's conference is conflicts, controversies, and resolutions. So I was wondering if you've seen this theme arise at all in your research. You could tell us.
No, it is with climate change. You have the thing is the effect and the level of climate change is going to be very different. Mm-hmm. Where you are in the world, right? So, of course, if you're looking at IITA, we're mostly in those areas where you will have an impact of climate change, but you will still have water, for example. So, of course, you have people moving, and of course, and that can create conflicts. But in my work, I haven't seen it that much. But what we see is that we're going to have to be very careful. Depending on where you are, taking into consideration the level of climate change, you're going to have to be very smart about how you're going to plan for agriculture. And sometimes it's going to mean to transform the system, which means that you're changing crops, you're changing livelihood options, because you know that what's happening now and what's out there now is probably not sustainable in the long term because of climate change. But in other areas, it's just going to mean that you're going to have to be smart about your systems that are already there and adapt them from within the system.
You also presented yesterday and have students presenting today. How do you see your presence and participation in Tropentag, either furthering your research or contributing otherwise?
So IITA is very much is an organization that does research for development. Mm-hmm. So as you can see, development is important, but research as well. And so we are scientists in Africa. But of course, when we're looking at the research agenda, it's really with collaborations with universities in the south, but also in the north, that we can really go and go forwards in the research agenda. So I love working with students, and a lot of our colleagues do, because they're actually the one leading and going forward with the research.